Hello, you're watching QPVN News. I'm Anh Tuấn, and here's the headlines. President LUONG receives aid to President of Russia. Vietnam and Brunei bolster defense ties. Vietnam's 80-year journey highlighted at National Day celebration in Cuba. On September the 16th, President LUONG received aid to the President of Russia and Chairman of the Maritime Board, Nikolai Patrushev, who is on a working visit to Vietnam. President LUONG urged agencies, ministries, sectors and localities of both countries to hold candid exchanges to implement cooperation in specific areas, effectively realizing agreements and commitments made by their senior leaders for the benefit of the two nations and for peace, cooperation and development in the region and the world. He also suggested that the Maritime Board of Russia support and promote cooperation with Vietnam in the maritime sphere alongside traditional and pillar fields. Aid to the President of Russia emphasized the significant potential for bilateral cooperation and pledged that the Maritime Board of Russia will continue to support expanding cooperation with Vietnam, particularly in maritime affairs with a focus on joint scientific and technical research in the field. Earlier, aid to the President of Russia and Chairman of the Maritime Board, Nikolai Patrushev, and the working delegation visited the Vietnam Military History Museum and laid flowers at the Vietnam-Soviet Union Solidarity and Friendship Monument. Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Trường Thắng, Deputy Defense Minister, also joined the delegation. At the invitation of Senior Lieutenant General Dong Jun, Minister of National Defense of China, General Phan Văn Giang, Minister of National Defense of Vietnam, is leading a high-ranking delegation of the Vietnamese Ministry of National Defense to attend the 12th Beijing Xiangshan Forum and conduct working visits in China from September the 17th to the 20th. The participation of the Vietnamese delegation in the 12th Beijing Xiangshan Forum and their working program in China demonstrates Vietnam's support for and active engagement in multilateral activities organized by China's Ministry of National Defense. It also affirms Vietnam's proactive and responsible role in addressing international and regional issues. At the same time, the visit concretizes the common understandings reached by the senior leaders of the two countries, especially the joint statement on further deepening and elevating the comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership and building a community with a shared future between Vietnam and China, in line with the 6 priorities orientation. It aims to promote bilateral defense cooperation in a more substantive, effective, and in-depth manner. On the morning of September the 17th, General Nguyễn Tân Cương, Chief of the General Staff of the Vietnam People's Army and Deputy Minister of National Defense, presided over the official welcome ceremony and held talks with Major General Dato' Paduka Seri Faji Muhammad Hazimi bin Bol Hassan, Commander of the Royal Brunei Armed Forces. General Nguyễn Tân Cương expressed satisfaction with recent Vietnam-Brunei military and defense cooperation. He suggested that both sides continue high-level and all-level exchanges, maintain existing consultation mechanisms, strengthen training cooperation, expand collaboration in defense industry, logistics, military medicine, search and rescue, counter-terrorism, and cybersecurity, and continue close consultations and mutual support at multilateral mechanisms, forums, and international events organized by each side. Both sides exchange views on global and regional developments and shared issues of concern. The Vietnamese Chief of the General Staff stressed ASEAN's central role in shaping and sustaining the regional security architecture while promoting practical cooperation among member states and with external partners. He also praised the strategic document AIDE and AIDE Plus Ready for the Future, co-drafted by Brunei and Singapore. Turning to the EC South China Sea internationally issue, the Vietnamese official expressed hope that Brunei will continue to back ASEAN's common stance of addressing disputes peacefully, in line with international law, including the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. He highlighted the importance of fully implementing commitments such as the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the EC and soon finalizing a substantive, effective code of conduct consistent with international law. On September the 17th in Jakarta, Indonesia, the 6th meeting of the Vietnam-Indonesia Joint Working Group on Military and Defense Cooperation and the 4th meeting of the Vietnam-Indonesia Joint Working Group on Defense Industry Cooperation took place. At the meetings, both sides agreed that through the organization of each session, the Joint Working Group mechanism has proven its effectiveness in contributing to promoting substantive bilateral military defense cooperation between Vietnam and Indonesia. Regarding future cooperation, both sides agreed to report to the leaders of the two countries' defense ministries to continue to pay attention to directing the implementation of delegation exchanges, continue to consult and support each other at multilateral mechanisms and forums. Building a highly skilled, compact and strong military is one of the key goals identified in the 13th National Party Congress resolution and the 11th Party Congress of the military. According to the Ministry of National Defense, by the end of 2024, the Vietnam People's Army had essentially achieved the target of being highly skilled, compact and strong, 1 year ahead of the schedule set out in the Politburo's Resolution 05 on the organization of the Vietnam People's Army for the 2021-2030 period and the following years. By February the 15th, 2025, the military had restructured nearly 2,900 organizations, including the reduction of 1 general department to Army Corps, 37 department-level agencies and equivalent ones, and nearly 300 sections. Our goal for the 2021-2025 period was to essentially complete the building of a highly skilled, compact and strong military. Yet by 2024, we had already reached this goal, 1 year ahead of the schedule. This is indeed a very positive achievement. More than a year after its establishment, Army Corps 12, the first highly skilled, compact and strong corps of the Vietnam People's Army, has been gradually realizing the strategic vision of the party and the state. We have strengthened commanding capacity to rapidly deploy the mission in all situations based on a highly skilled, compact and strong apparatus. Following the principle of soldiers first, weapons follow, we prioritize manpower for units tasked with training and combat readiness. The organizational restructuring process, ranging from units directly subordinate to the Ministry of National Defense down to those at campaign and tactical levels, has created balanced and coherent force structure, avoiding overlaps in functions and missions, while reducing intermediate and logistics maintenance agencies. This process helps adjust the force deployment across the north, central and south in all operational environments, strengthen defense postures in military regions, and turn provinces and centrally governed cities into strong defensive areas. Regarding the troop organization, we have ensured stability, comprehensive quality, and high combat strength, meeting the requirements of mission in peacetime while being ready to expand forces in wartime. The success in exceeding the progress of the 2020-2025 goal of building a highly skilled, compact and strong force has laid a solid foundation for the military to build a revolutionary, regular, highly skilled and modern force capable of fulfilling the mission of safeguarding the country in the new situation. Coming up next, Vietnamese Deputy Prime Minister attends 22nd China-ASEAN Expo in Guangxi. Vietnam's 80-year journey highlighted at National Day celebration in Cuba. On September the 17th, Deputy Prime Minister Mai Văn-chính and the Vietnamese delegation attended the opening ceremony of the 22nd China-ASEAN Expo, or CA Expo for short, and the China-ASEAN Business and Investment Summit, CABIS, in Nanning City, Guangxi, China. Addressing the event, Deputy Prime Minister Mai Văn-chính stated that over its 21 editions, CA Expo and CABIS have made significant contributions to the development and cooperation, becoming a symbol of economic trade and investment cooperation between China and ASEAN. Amid global and regional economic challenges, the Deputy Prime Minister put forward 3 key proposals for future cooperation, namely further opening markets and facilitating trade, enhancing strategic connectivity that boosts trade among countries in the region, and promoting science and technology cooperation to become a new bright spot of cooperation. This year, Vietnam is once again one of the largest participants, with nearly 200 booths showcasing a wide range of quality products in sectors where Vietnam has strong complementarities with China and ASEAN markets, including agricultural products, processed food, consumer goods, homeware, furniture, and handicraft. On the same day, Deputy Prime Minister Mai Văn-chính attended a roundtable between the Vietnamese government and CEOs of Chinese companies on the sidelines of the 22nd CA Expo and CABIS. At the event, he stressed that the Vietnamese government is committed to creating a transparent, open and level playing field for foreign investors, including those from China, in line with international practices as the country enters a new development phase. Recently, in Havana, the Vietnamese embassy in Cuba solemnly held a ceremony to mark the 80th anniversary of Vietnam's National Day on September the 2nd. Speaking at the event, Ambassador Le Quang Long emphasized the historic significance of September 2, 1945, when President Ho Chi Minh read the Declaration of Independence at Ba Đình Square, marking the birth of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, now the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. The declaration, Ambassador Le Quang Long said, marked the beginning of an era of national liberation, not only in Vietnam, but also across colonies in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Over the past 8 decades, under the leadership of the Communist Party of Vietnam, the country has overcome immense challenges, rising from poverty and devastation to achieve remarkable socio-economic development and growing international stature. He expressed Vietnam's gratitude for the precious friendship, solidarity, and support from peace-loving nations and international friends, including Cuba. The celebration concluded with guests enjoying traditional Vietnamese cuisine and cultural performances in a warm atmosphere of solidarity and friendship. According to the Global Innovation Index, or GII for short, a report recently released by the World Intellectual Property Organization in Geneva, Switzerland, the number of countries and territories covered in this year's survey has increased from 133 to 139. Vietnam continues to rank 44th among the 139 economies. Within the component indicators of the GII, Vietnam ranks first in the world in 3 areas. Specifically, Vietnam holds the top spot globally for high-tech imports with a share of 29.4%, tied with Hong Kong, China, ahead of Malaysia in 3rd place and the Philippines in 4th. Vietnam also ranks first in the world along with Malaysia and the Philippines in high-tech exports, accounting for 36.1% of its total trade. At present, more than 1/3 of Vietnam's export turnover comes from high-tech products such as electronics, telecommunications, computers and components. This figure underpins Vietnam's position in the global supply chain. Vietnam also shares the lead in creative goods exports with China, the Czech Republic, Hong Kong, China and Malaysia, showing it produces highly creative products beyond electronics and high-tech. This is the end of the QPVN News today. Remember to watch our news again at qpvn.vn. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now.